Good morning. If you are tuning in this morning, I am just starting my show, the Joy Temple program here on Hutt Radio, and I'm waiting for my guest to come in. Her name is Gibson. We're going to be talking about lots of stuff today. She's an author, film, music, book reviewer in the horror genre, and she lives with bipolar, and she's coming to talk to us about her life and the work that she does, which is really, really cool. Morning, morning. Just getting myself set up to get live on my show. A few things to do, a few things I haven't done this morning. Just been a bit hectic. Right, let me do what I just need to do for a second while the news is on. I feel like I've got so much to do this morning, I don't know where to start. But hello, I'd love to know who you are, where you're from. Are you interested in horror movies? They're not my thing. Okay. Right, let me do this post. Oh my God, can't find anything this morning. Okay, here we go. Don't like horror movies? No, I'm not a big horror lover either. But this lady lives with bipolar, and she has found a really good way to help her manage that, and that's through taking those thoughts out of her head and writing stories. So she's just published a book. She's a very prominent writer, and I'm really interested to be talking to her today and just not only talking about the horror genre, but about mental health and how we can help people in the community, you know, be supported. So it's going to be a great show today. Anyways, I get this sorted. Oh, I feel like I need a moment today. It's been very rushed this morning. Okay, let's see if we can pop this up here. So we'll put this on our stories. Have I got a link to YouTube? Oh, so much stuff to do. I need an assistant. In fact, I am looking for a producer for my show, someone who might like to volunteer and come and help. Right, let's see if this helps. Okay, share, we got a link, cool. Rightio. Sorry everybody, I've just got to get this on my social media, so it's all there today. Live on, where are we streaming today? On YouTube and TikTok. Cool. Rightio, I reckon we're ready to go, everybody. Put my water over here. So Del's going to be here very soon, and we will be having our chat. But I think we might start the show, hey? Whew. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any comments or questions, please let me know.
More on all the day's top top stories on our website, including a live blog of our weather events. Go to rnz.co.nz. Back with Susie and Nikki shortly.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Joy Temple program. My name is Janie. You're listening to Hutt Radio on this lovely Saturday morning. I say lovely because, I'm grateful to be up, to be out in the world alive, although it is a bit grey out there, but that's okay. Now, we are streaming today on our iHeart Radio station, TikTok and YouTube for the Joy Temple, and also on our own station, 88.3 FM, right? There we go. I feel like it's been a very clunky start this morning. I just have had a lot to do, had some technical difficulties that I needed to sort out, but I think we're all going okay now. I'm going to take a deep breath. Now, let me tell you what's coming up on the show today, everybody. My guest is a lady called Dell Gibson. She's going to be joining me around probably 9:30. And Dell is local to the Hutt. She was born in the Hutt and still lives here, apart from a short period of where she lived up north on the North Island. Anyway, Dell is coming in to talk to us about her experience living with bipolar, and also how she has managed to create a life for her that is really successful. She is an author, she's a music, film and book reviewer in the horror genre. So if you love horror, then this will be the show for you. And we also want to take some of that stigma out of what it's like to live with a severe mental illness, and how we can find success for ourselves through the support networks and just doing things that can help to keep us well. So Dell is actually here. I'm going to pop on a song and I'm going to go and let her in because I'm really looking forward to catching up with her today. So stay with us and please get a cup of tea, just relax, and I'll see you in a moment. I'm going to play this song for my beautiful husband Shakti today. This is called I Am Living My Life by Tunes of the Future. I'll be back in a moment. We've started.
They're calling me up, always asking me to hang, but I've got my own path, a different tune to sing. I'm chasing dreams, finding roads I need to see.
Wow. That's cool little studio.
It's cute, isn't it?
Wow.
Right, I'll just turn that down.
I've been listening to it on the way in actually.
Oh,
So it was cool.
my goodness, I've had technical difficulties over there. I've had technical difficulties here.
Oh, no.
So it's like I'm just going to take a moment and just relax. So,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Oh no.
Anyway, here we are. So this is your hot seat today. I love your red bag. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
My favourite colour.
we are streaming here on TikTok and YouTube. So morning, everybody. Dell has arrived, and I will try to look at any comments when we're not talking on air because I can't multitask that well.
Nobody can.
No, but we will be having a great conversation today about Dell's work and life and just stuff. So
Yeah,
it's very,
sounds good.
yeah, it's very exciting. So I'm just going to let this song play out, and then I've got a couple more things to do, and we'll kick off about 9:30. So while that's happening, this is your microphone up here.
Okay.
So we'll need to pull that down. We just want to make sure you're in close enough so that you're on screen, which you are. That's a beautiful poncho.
It is, isn't it?
It's really beautiful.
Lovely. I love it.
So you can kind of, the microphone moves. So you can just be seated. The microphone will come to you.
Perfect.
And we're just going to talk into the microphone, just like we're doing a bit of karaoke.
Okay, that's fantastic. Make sure I'm
Easy.
too
Now, do
close.
you need any water or anything?
No, I've got that
You're
for
all
now.
good?
I think I'll be
Look at
alright.
these beautiful rings. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Blingy.
We've got some sparkles. How's our song going? Right, so I'm just going to carry on doing my thing for a little bit.
While I relax.
You relax, take some deep breaths. Okay, welcome back everybody. This is Hutt Radio. My name is Janie and you are listening to The Joy Temple, and my lovely guest Del Gibson has arrived. So she's just taking a moment to catch her breath, and I'm just going to carry on, and we will start our conversation around 9:30 this morning. So you can tune in on iHeartRadio, or we are live streaming on my TikTok and YouTube, which is The Joy Temple. Now, let's have a look at the weather, hey, because who knows what the weather's doing. It's been quite warm yesterday, but it looks like things are starting to cool down again now. Today we're heading for a top of 14 degrees, a low of 8 tonight. There will be rain at times, possibly heavy this afternoon, easing this evening. There will be northerlies turning southerly this afternoon. The wind is very confused. It doesn't know which way it's blowing, but it's currently about 12 degrees. And tomorrow we're heading for a top of 13, a low of 8. It will be partly cloudy with the chance of a shower until evening, and there will be southwesterlies turning northerly in the evening. Again, more wind. It always seems to be so windy here in Wellington. It's incredible weather. But then we're going to get a bit of sunshine coming through till about Thursday, when the rain will pick up again. But that's okay. Now, I need to let you know what's happening in Lower Hutt over the next couple of weeks, because the Hot Chocolate Festival's on. The Sweet As Challenge is back again. This is an annual event to help warm us up through these wintry months, and it is on until the 13th of July. It's brought to us by the South End Business Group, and the challenge is held, as I said, every July, and it invites local cafes and businesses to make their most creative and delicious hot chocolate concoction. And it encourages residents and visitors to explore the diverse offerings of Lower Hutt's vibrant South End. So this is a challenge, so people can vote for their favourite hot chocolate from cafes such as Buzz, Tutaki, Mariana's Kitchen, Espresso High, even our own Neko Neru, which is in the building where we are, has got an offering this year, and there's plenty of others. I think there's about 13 or 14 different cafes taking part. And you can head to the sweetaschallenge.nz website to see all the entries and find out how to vote. And there's even lots of great prizes. And I think with that, we should have another song which is totally appropriate for this hot chocolate festival. And this is Hot Chocolate, Everyone's a Winner. There we go. So you were doing DJing in the radio?
Yeah.
A radio station in Perth?
Yeah, no, WA, Hannah Warnicker up by Karratha.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
And you loved it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it was, I think it was 4 hours, so.
Geez, that's
it was
a long
quite long.
show.
But I had a friend with me, so me and Les did it, so we did it together. And
Yeah.
It was quite exciting actually.
Because I find sometimes if I've got a guest, it's real easy because it's so easy to prepare. But when you don't have a guest, you have to think, well, what am I going to talk about?
Yes.
This is what what's happening in the radio. What do you talk about? What music are you going to play? How do you feel in 2 hours?
Yeah.
Which is a lot. But 4 hours?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's better with a guest. Yeah, or
Yeah,
someone
it
helping.
is. Yeah, absolutely, it is. It totally is. So, Del, I have got a bit of our notes that we talked about the other night. So, as I said, I don't ask questions. I've just got scrappy paper.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely.
Scrappy paper. Anything off topic? Anything off
No.
out of bounds?
No.
Okay, good. That's what I like. Just a little free flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
Makes it nice that way. You don't feel there's too much restriction. I'll just turn this one around a bit. Ooh, that looks all right. Okay, there we go. So I've had one person say that horror genre isn't their thing.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
And although we'll be talking about Del's work, we're also going to be talking about her life and how she has got into this work that she does. But yeah, I'm not a massive horror fan.
It's a niche. It's
Yeah,
a
it
niche
is.
genre, really. Yeah.
And I do have some questions around why people are fascinated with it, which we will
Excellent.
talk
That's
about.
an important question.
Yeah,
it is.
like
Yeah.
why? I mean, yeah, why? Well, we'll answer that question today. So if you've got any questions for Del today, just pop them in the chat and I will get to them in moments like this where we've got music playing and I'm not actually talking into this thing.
Excellent, excellent. Oh my goodness.
What else are you doing this weekend?
Nothing. Actually,
sounds
no,
good.
just I've got a review to do and stuff like that. And I've got a book to read to review by Monday, so yeah.
Big one?
It's a collection of stories. So,
Oh.
oh, and speaking of which, this is for you. Now, you might not like horror stories, but there's ghost stories in there, and this is my debut book, and I'll put a little note in there for you. So.
Mistress of Darkness, Stories of the Macabre, Volume 1. So this is Dell's new book released on Friday the
Friday the
13th. Thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you. That's beautiful. I will look through it and read it because it's not only about
I like it.
horror, is it? It's about paranormal
Yep.
and other.
Yep,
Other
supernaturals
interesting
and
things.
cryptids.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh.
So, yeah, it's really exciting.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, cool.
Even the cover's quite like.
Yeah, actually, it's got a glitter sheen in it, so it actually catches the light and
Ah.
reflects it, so it can turn purple. I've had it see yellow. It sort
Depending on the
depends.
light.
Yeah, and then it turns dark black
Ah.
if you have it in the shade, so it's quite.
There we go. Here's the book.
And it's on Amazon and Lulu.
Are
so
these true
purchase.
stories or?
No,
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 not true
all
stories.
fiction.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Right, I'm ready to come back on air. Welcome back, everybody. This is Hutt Radio. My name is Janie, and you're listening to the Joy Temple program. I'm here every Saturday, just bringing a little bit of uplifting music and chat to the community in what can be a pretty tough time out there. I don't do anything controversial, no politics, nothing like that. It's just all about nice, upbeat fun. But we're talking about horror today, so.
Which can be
That
fun.
can be, yeah, that can be
fun.
upbeat. That can be fun.
Yep.
But I want to let you know that today is International Body Piercing Day. Now, who knew there was a day? But there seems to be a day for everything. And body modification has been used for many reasons, such as self-expression, rites of passage, shock value, and even religious observances. And it has become a popular form of expression and decoration in the Western world. Now, if you're thinking about getting a piercing, then today could be the day to make it happen. And there's many body parts that can be pierced, and nipple piercing has been traced back to ancient Romans, and genital piercing made its debut in ancient India. Who knew?
Fascinating.
It really is
It is.
fascinating, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there you go. So whether you decide to get these places or any other parts pierced, make sure you do it safely and with somebody who is reputable and knows what they're doing. So today is dedicated to Jim Ward, who is heralded as the grandfather of the body piercing movement, and he's been influential in the new body modification movement with a specific focus on body piercing. So that's his thing. This is, I guess, his day. And piercing has been practiced as far back as 5,000 years ago, with evidence of piercing being discovered in graves from many cultures. They often pierced body and gave jewelry to take into the afterlife for their next reincarnation. And I want to share my story about my nose piercings. So I actually have both sides of my nose pierced, and I never really was interested in getting any nose piercings. I'm kind of, I'm not basic and I'm not boring, but I just never felt the need to get, like my belly button or, my nipples or anything pierced. I've always had my ears pierced. Many, have been done on the bus on the way to school with a needle. We've all been there, we've all done that. And if you haven't, you probably didn't live in the 80s. And I went to India after I met my beautiful husband, Shakti. And while I was there, I thought, I'm going to get my nose pierced. And my mother-in-law said, okay, I'll take you to get your nose pierced. Well, I thought this will be a nice experience out. And we went out, we did a bit of shopping. I was waving to someone outside the window who I know, which is always nice. Did a bit of shopping, had a lovely little lunch, and then she said, okay, let's go and get your nose pierced. So we went to this jewellery store called GRT, and it is a very big, prestigious jewellery store in all across South India. And when you go in there, you will look around. So they have one floor that's all like jewellery, and then they have another floor that would be like homewares and idols and things like that. So it's all like gold and silver, and it's really quite fascinating. And so you go and you pick the item that you want to take to get pierced or take home. So then they write you a little note, you take it to the counter, they then do something else at the counter, then you take it to another counter, then you pay for it, then they take it away and they bless it for you, which is really lovely. They always bless the jewellery and stuff like that. And then I was thinking, well, where am I going to get this piercing done? So I picked this beautiful, like a little flower stud, it's gold. And my mother-in-law said, well, we just go to the back of the shop. And I'm thinking, well, this will be lovely. It'll be so luxurious. There'll be like a couch, and there'll be, you know, a chandelier, and it'll be like maybe champagne, you know, because it's so fabulous. So we walked to the back of the store, and honestly,
Oh no.
oh my goodness, I nearly fell over. We walked into this room. There is a man sitting on the floor. He has got a hammer, a safety pin. There is a little bench on the other side of the room, and I was like, what on earth is going on here? It was like so far from what I expected to be happening for this beautiful piercing. So anyway, I said to my mother-in-law, are you sure? She said, yep, everybody comes and gets their nose pierced here. I'm thinking, okay, sepsis, I'm thinking infection, the worst is, you know, coming to my mind. And he goes, well, look, I'll give you some numbing cream. So he gives me this squirt of this stuff, and I rub it on my nose. Nothing happened. Nothing went numb. And so I had to sit there and wait a while. And then people started coming into the room. And I'm like, what on earth is going on? And, you know, if you've been to India, you know that people just love to come, and they love to stare, and they love to know what's going on and be part of everything. So I'm sitting there, there's probably about 5 or 6 people sitting there, and I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to use that safety pin? He goes, oh no, madam, I'm not going to use the safety pin. And what he did was he got this like little copper rod, and he stuck it into the bottom of the nose pin. And he goes, are you ready? I went, well, kind of. And then he just went, pop, shoved it through my nose. Screwed the little screw on, so I don't know how I'd ever take it out because it is screw in. And then he said, okay, you're done. And he said, just go and put coconut oil on it for 3 days and you're done. That was it. Not a drop of blood, nothing happened. It was quite amazing. Healed incredibly. It looks beautiful, it feels beautiful. So then my mother-in-law got a second, she got her own one because she wanted to have the same, but she decided not to use it. So I thought, well, I'll use it and I'll get the other side done. So I went to a place here in Petone, I'm not going to say who they were, and I swear to God, this woman was, I don't know whether she was hungover, whether she had no idea what she was doing, but it was an absolute disaster. I went on my birthday, I wanted to go and have this beautiful experience of getting my other side pierced, and she had no idea. She couldn't even match up where the thing had to go. Like, I could have done it with my eyes shut. She couldn't do it. We had to take the other one out, put it back in. She put the wrong backing on it. It was just awful. There was blood everywhere. It was awful. My husband was traumatized. I was traumatized. So I thought, I don't know if I can, you know, be bothered getting it done. I took it out after 2 days because it was starting to get really, really grotty. And then I just had this idea one day, okay, let's see if we can find somewhere else. And I found a piercing place in Avalon. And it's a guy called Hamish, and his business is called Flesh Wound. And I went and had a chat to him, and he said, yeah, I can do this, no problems. He's been piercing, I don't know how many years, a very long time. And sure enough, within half an hour, done.
Wow.
And it healed beautifully, and I'm so happy with it.
And they look great.
Yeah, they're really, they're
really
like super, super beautiful.
Yes.
And in a moment, I'll show everybody on, you know, on the screen here what it looks like. But there you go. That's my piercing story for International Piercing Day. Have you got any piercings?
No.
Earrings? Just ears.
Just
All
ears.
right.
Yeah. I actually tried to have my nose pierced, but both times they fell out.
Oh.
Yeah, so they fell out overnight, so it's like wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be. Okay, well there we go.
The tattoos though.
Oh, do you? Oh, well, we can talk about those. Well, everybody, it's 9:28 a.m. We've done the weather. We've had a little chat. I think we should get into our show today, and I'm going to play a song that I have chosen to start off the show. And my guest today is Del Gibson. She is an author, a film, book, music reviewer. Del lives with bipolar disorder, and she's here to share her story and to talk about the work she does. And also, we want to really take some of that shame and stigma out of having mental illness, and let others know that a beautiful life is possible, regardless. And I think for all of us, a beautiful life is possible. And we all have challenges that we face, regardless of whether it is physical or mental. But we owe it to ourselves to at least give things a go and do our best. Hey,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Now, the song I am going to kick off our show with today is Skyhook's horror movie. Now, this one is one from, would have been the late 70s.
Yeah.
I am Australian. The Skyhooks are from Australia. They're a hilarious band, and they had so much great music. And I figured this one was probably the right song to kick off today's show, because we will be talking about horror movies coming up very soon. I'll be back in a moment. There we go, everybody. Morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Del. We're going to have a great chat today. Who loves this song? Who knows this song? The young kids might know this song. It's so good. So good. So you've, all your friends are aware. I saw that you did a bit of posting. Hopefully they'll be...
No.
Hopefully they'll be...
Mutual friends.
Sorry?
We've got mutual friends. My cousin Wilma Cookie. Alan Hamilton. Will Harris, who's very good friend of mine. Tracy Quinty. And
Mutual friends. There we go.
I think I've got 6 mutual friends.
I love that. I love that. Oh my god, I'll have to go back and have another
You'll have to go
look.
and have a look. Yes, it's exciting. The Hutt's a small place.
It is, yeah.
2 degrees of
Yeah.
separation over here.
Yeah, it is, hey.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with work, they say you just always got to be careful, because you'll just end up working with the same people over and over again. So
Yeah.
be kind.
Yeah,
Be-
exactly.
Be nice.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Del. I'm very excited to have her here, and we're going to be talking about horror movies. There'll be no jump scares unless I do this. Boo. I actually had somebody make a comment on my on a video once. They just commented jump scare when they saw me. I was like, oh, that's not very nice. Oh my God. But people are awful.
What?
People
Oh my
are so
God.
awful.
Yeah.
Someone else said, you've got such a face for radio. It's like, don't you have anything nice to say?
Oh my God,
People have anything nice
you
to
look
say?
fantastic.
Yeah, I know, Del. I am
Exactly.
fantastic.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Trolls.
Yeah.
They're just trolls.
I'm not even bothered
And
by
they're
it.
jealous you get to be a DJ.
And a diva, apparently, which is
And a diva,
which is
even
cool
better.
now. Being
Yes,
a
it
diva is
is.
cool.
It is. It is. I'm more of a goth chick than a diva.
Well, someone told me I was a diva on one of my dance videos. I said to my young friends at work, I said, they're calling me a diva, and they're like, yes.
I loved your dancing.
Oh,
I went
every
and had
day.
a look. Oh, really?
Every day I dance, yeah. And I've actually been given a grant by the council to bring dancing to the community, so I'm very excited about that.
Please, I want to be involved
Oh,
in
please.
Oh my
Come on,
God,
we could do
yes.
we could do a horror theme
Oh,
and
we
do
could.
scary music like Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm
let's
keen for
talk.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they've given me a grant and they're going to pay for some venues, stuff like that. I feel really grateful because
What an accomplishment. Oh my goodness.
they didn't have a lot of money to give out this year. I think they had $112,000 worth of people applying and they only gave out 37,000. So yeah, I feel very excited.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Right. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Joy Temple program. My name is Janie. You're listening to Hutt Radio. We are streaming on iHeartRadio, and I'm live streaming on my TikTok and YouTube, The Joy Temple today. So you are welcome to jump on, come and say hello. And I would love to formally introduce my guest today, Dill Gibson. Welcome.
Hello.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. And Dill saw my little promo in one of the local Facebook groups where I put a call out for people to come and share their stories. And she was like in there and she sent me a beautiful message outlining the work that she does, how her life changed through a couple of mental illness diagnoses, and how she has found her bliss, as you call it.
Yes,
So we are going to unpack all of that today, and I'm really excited because I think we have this gift of life, and sometimes it can be very challenging. For some people it is very easy, but whatever the pathway is, I feel that we all need to do the work to make it the best life possible. Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So
Yep.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's exciting. And Del does, you just love horror.
I love horror. I'm all over the place doing lots of different horror stuff. Yeah. I've been a fan since forever.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now, I never interview people as such. Like, I don't come here with a list of questions that I ask people. I come here with just a few words on a page, and then I will just talk about them and tick them off, and off we go. So it's just like a beautiful, beautiful conversation that we will have today. And I think there's a lot to talk about. We've got, obviously, your work as an author, as a reviewer, as a creative writer, your life living with bipolar, and we may even talk about your postpartum
Yes,
psychosis
definitely. Yeah, that's
as
really,
well.
yeah.
And I think, I guess the message that we want to share today is that it is possible to do the things you love,
Yeah.
with the challenges that you have, and hopefully this will inspire people to just get out there and, at least try something.
At least
hey?
try.
Yeah, at least
Yeah, it's
try.
really important.
So I think, where would you like to start today? Do you want to talk about yourself or your work?
I'll talk about maybe how I got into horror in the first place.
Yeah.
Because it's a big part of my life now, and it has been for about the last 7 years.
Mhm.
So I grew up in a haunted house. So that was the beginning of my spiritual journey, I guess you can say. So I've got a twin sister. So we grew up in Nainai. And
Is the house still there?
the house is still there. Yeah. It's still there. My parents, we moved out. I moved out of the family home at 17, and they stayed there till I was about 30. But yeah, so that was in Nainai, quite close to the cemetery, actually. I have to say. Excuse me. And so basically, yeah, I grew up in a haunted house. My twin sister never saw anything I saw. It was only just me that saw it. My parents didn't believe me, even though one night they saw me getting pulled out of bed. So that was quite terrifying. And I mean, as a child, you're not really aware of what's going on. It's just something that happens. And then I started watching horror movies, and actually there's been a time in my life where I couldn't watch horror. It was too frightening for me,
Yeah.
I guess. So I suppose I went about 10 years without having anything to do with horror. And then I guess some of it is because sometimes there's a stigma attached to people who say that they've seen things, unknown and unseen to other people. So I haven't actually told many people until I basically came out as a horror fan in 2019, and I found a community of people. Because I always had to keep it in the dark, because it's something people don't want to talk about, ghosts and ghouls and demons and angels and stuff like that. People don't want to talk about it.
And that's interesting, like, they don't want to talk about the scary part of it, but then, you know, people will talk about that beautiful part of spirituality, whether that's your intuition, thoughts that, you know, transpire into something. But so there's that, like, the good and the bad, right? So, but it's all part of what our existence is.
It is. Yeah, I think that, you know, people get put onto a path when they're younger and they don't, you know, because I was in hospitality for 15 years, 7 days a week, slogging along. And then I actually had to quit after my second baby. I got postpartum psychosis. That was my mental health journey started. And I was a mess. I didn't know what was going on. My brain had fried. I thought I was having a heart attack, but it was actually a panic attack.
And they're awful.
So I've met a lot of people who can relate to that. So I wasn't actually hearing voices. I was more hearing screaming in my head. Unfortunately, at the time, my partner, his brother, worked for the CAT team, so they took me straight in and had me assessed and diagnosed, and ever since we've been on and off with medication. But I got a diagnosis of bipolar back about 8 years ago now, and that was a bit rough, but through medication, therapy, writing, especially writing, I've managed to come through the other side. And I talk a lot about it on my channel, on my YouTube channel. I've spoken about it on my Facebook group. I've spoken about mental illness, because there's this. Okay, some people think people who like horror are crazy, neurotic, psychotic, psychopaths. It's not actually true. It's not at all true whatsoever. That's just another stigma to add on to another stigma, if you know what I mean. So. Basically, I've been writing my whole life, but I haven't actually been to the point where I actually went and did creative writing course for 2 years, and then I started writing from there, and people loved my work, so it was like, oh, I'm actually really good at this, and so I just keep writing, and I've done lots of things like reviews, and so my first debut book came out on Friday the 13th. So it's called Mistress of Darkness, because that's people have named me Mistress of Darkness. So, and Stories of the Macabre Volume 1. So there's a Volume 2 coming out soon. So not only do I write horror, I'm in the middle of writing a biography. So that's on a independent filmmaker who's very controversial. This book might turn, microphone. It may or may not be okay for some people to read and others not. So it comes with trigger warnings and stuff, and he's very controversial in the horror realm. But I mostly do independent reviews of independent filmmakers. I'm an executive producer and writer on one film, and another film I'm a producer. So it's been quite exciting.
That's amazing. So there's quite a lot to unpack there. Living in the haunted house, you know, I have heard other people share stories of, you know, that phenomenon where they're in bed and they've been pulled or something, held down, something like that. And you know, for you, did your parents think maybe you were just dreaming?
Yeah, they did.
Having a nightmare or a dream.
It was nightmares, but they weren't.
Yeah, and it's interesting to kind of think, well, was it a dream? Was it reality? What made you know that it was real as opposed to a dream?
Good question. So some people get sleep paralysis, and that's when they have night terrors. Most people don't remember their night terrors at all. So I think the difference is when you wake up and you know something's touched you, and that feeling lingers all night, it doesn't go away, and you wake up in the morning, it's still there. The fright that you get, and you know you're awake because you're sitting up in bed as well. These other, things like that. So as opposed to a sleep paralysis where you have night terrors you don't remember the next day, but you do
Yeah.
remember ghostly hauntings.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
And so your parents kind of just thought you were dreaming, and did it continue on for a long time?
Yeah, actually, right up until I left home at 17. And I actually went back to stay a night when I was probably about 21 because my dad's birthday, and I had another ghostly experience there. So that was the last time I slept there ever. Yeah. So they were either waiting for me or you know.
And so, I know, like I've talked to you the other day about my friend Scarlett Gibson, who's she's also an author, and she has had a lot of paranormal experiences. And she, in her book, she talked about going. She went to the spiritual church or something in Petone.
Yep, I used to go there. Yep.
And there was someone who she knew, and she said, you need to not be fearful. She said you need to start to feel joy and happiness in order to relieve that kind of experience, right?
Yes.
So that was her.
Because they cling on to vulnerable people. Yeah.
So that was the advice that she had, and she was a teenager when that was happening to her.
Yeah, scary.
But yeah, so she was told to start to look for joyful, happy things in her life, to be able to free herself from what was happening. So. Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah, you're not the only person that that has happened to.
Oh,
and
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole I've got a Facebook group, and it's predominantly about hauntings, and people come on and tell us they share their experiences, and because some people don't have a safe place to talk about it, so I make sure that my group, I admin it and moderate it by myself because I don't want anyone else to interfere, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a 4-year, it's my baby basically. I've grown it for 4 years, and people, it's a safe place. Maybe because I'm a female as opposed to a male, because some of my other male friends who run groups, they're a bit different to talk to. So when they come and talk to me, I can give them advice. I can tell them some protection to use, how to cleanse the house, how to lift yourself out of that sort of continuous cycle. Yeah, because there's 2 types of ghosts. There's a residual ghosts that just keep going around and doing the same thing over and over again. Usually they're lost in limbo. And then you get intelligent ghosts, and they're the ones that answer spirit boxes and talk to you and communicate through other means like Ouija boards, which I do. Please do not touch Ouija boards, people. I know they sell them at toy shops, but do not touch them. You don't know what you're doing. It's got rules. A lot of people have opened up portals by doing it wrong. And there's a lot of stuff happening in the world that has to do with a lot of portals being opened, basically. So that's a whole other.
That sounds like a whole other show.
I tell you, that's a whole other topic. Yeah, it's a very scary place out there now. So you know, people just need to be a bit more aware. So that's why I have my group, so they can let people know what's going on.
And your group is called Horror Central. So it's a Facebook group that has 44.6 thousand followers. Like wow. And started back in 2021, and it's for people to join who are interested in the paranormal,
horror, ghost, true crime. I share a lot of true crime stories. The reason I do that is to give warnings to people. So that's predominantly why I get into horror, is because there's lessons in horror. There's lessons. There's, you know, I will never go camping again.
Not even in a campsite?
No.
Not in a campsite?
No.
Not even in the Paikakariki campground?
No. No, I only stay at motels and hotels now because I tell you what, don't go, you know.
Okay, I might go and sell my tent.
New Zealand's not as bad, I have to say. A lot of this content comes from America and other countries, so we're not so bad over here when it comes to things like that, going camping and all that. We've got some beautiful places to go camping, you know, Kaitoki and stuff like that. So, you know, it's also not to fear it.
What about in your juicy van?
You know, if I had an RV or something, I might. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've stayed in cabins at camping grounds and that. And the last time I went tenting, I was 30 or something. So it's a couple of decades ago. Yeah, it's not for me anymore. No, not after watching the stuff I watch.
Okay.
But seriously, there are really good points in it as well. It lets you know that, you've got to watch your children a lot more,
Yeah.
be more vigilant with your family members, especially if someone's got a mental illness, to make sure that you keep checking in on them. So there's a lot of reasons why people get into horror.
I did mention that we watched 2 horror films at home. So we watch a lot of Indian films at home, and they're fascinating films, and they have like the horror comedy genre.
Yes, they do.
And you don't know whether to like hide under the pillow or burst out laughing. In fact, one minute you might be like this, and the next minute you're laughing because they are just so ridiculous. But my husband Shakti talks about a lot of the what he calls the black magic in India.
Yeah.
And he has a temple that he used to go to from when he was like 3 months old. His family still goes to this temple, and the priests there would do like exorcisms on people who had been possessed, and he would talk about them. He would talk about how he would have like a specific tree, and he would the person would stand in the tree, and he would like nail their hair into the tree and then pull it, and the evil would come out. And so really interesting stuff that he had talked about. That black magic in India. So
wow, that's one thing I stay away from, and I urge people to stay away from those dark entities, those dark types of stuff going on. But you're right, different cultures have different ways they do things. To us, it might look horrifying, but to them it's not, because it's their culture.
It's normal.
That's right.
Yeah.
So.
But he has shared stories of people putting curses. And in fact, I'm going to tell everyone about a curse that happened in our family. So my grandmother used to live on a farm up in a place called Taylor's Arm, which is in the north of New South Wales. And anyway, my grandmother was quite incredible in terms of her, I guess, her spirituality. She was like a unique woman. Anyway, she used to have a cow that came over from the neighbours and ate her mandarins off the tree. She was very annoyed with this cow. So one day she said, "Curse you, cow." Next day the cow was dead. It had choked on a mandarin off the tree. So there you go. That's a family. Yeah.
Really?
It is terrible. Yeah. But she was so mad at that cow that she put a curse on it, and
Oh my god. That's nasty.
we're all vegetarians now, so all the cows are safe with us.
Yeah.
Now, should we play a song? Del has got a lot of music that she's brought in today.
I didn't know how many to choose, so I put them all in there.
It doesn't matter. I have queued them all up, so we can play all. Well, we probably won't get through all of the songs today, but we have got quite a lot here that you have chosen. And I'd love to know what song you would like to play and why this song might be special to you. I don't know if you can see those.
You know what I'd really love to play? I don't know if you've got Weta there.
Yes.
But Aaron Tukana, who was the lead singer of Weta, so he went to Nana College, and him and I were quite close friends. We used to walk home together after school, and he passed away about 5 years ago, and we went to his funeral. And this song, because we actually watched him win the Battle of the Bands, which is fantastic, and this is a Nai song.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so I've never heard of Weta. This song is called Calling On, and this is one of the songs that you've chosen to play today on the Joy Temple.
Thank you.
You're on Hutt Radio. I'm with Del Gibson, and we'll be back shortly. There we go.
Oh.
All right, we are well and truly into the show today. Oops. Oh, spilling water everywhere, as long as I don't spill it on the technology.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, imagine that.
Oh, God.
Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. We've got people from Turkey. Hello. I've got Del here if you've got any questions for Del. Benjamin Gibson says, I'm so proud of you, my dove.
Yes, that's
Dove.
my husband.
Oh, look at her. Here she is, being fabulous. She's so fabulous. And it's just a really interesting conversation. I hope today, not only with the horror part of it, we take some of that fear out of horror as well.
That would be great.
And just look at that weather out there. It is pouring outside, everybody. It is pretty bleak. So thank you for tuning in. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat, and then we'll hopefully get to them today. Otherwise, you'll just see what's happening and be part of the show behind the scenes today. Let's turn this song up so we can have a listen. What a voice.
He's amazing. Anika Moore and all that were at the funeral as well. Anika Moore and Holly Smith and all the artists.
Because a lot of these people I don't know, because obviously not being
course.
from here,
Yes.
but I'm slowly getting to know and understand more. And
How long have you been here?
we arrived in 2020, so just
Oh,
5
really?
years.
Wow.
Yeah, so not that long, and not that long. This is a beautiful song.
It is. Will that be a
Nice.
good
The
tribute to
husband's-
Lower Hutt?
Yeah.
Yes, I know my husband, yes. I had to put it on the computer for him so that he could, yeah. Our channels wouldn't pick it up.
Should have brought him in.
Oh, no, he's at home babysitting.
Oh,
We're doggy
right.
sitting as
Oh,
well for a
right.
couple of weeks, so.
My guest, my last guest, brought in her support dog. This beautiful big, I don't think, it's one of those dogs that's in the, you know the toilet paper ad it's all
Oh,
the,
a Shar-Pei.
yeah, Shar-Pei, and it was sat there the whole time, just very happy, and
What a good doggy.
it was beautiful.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to bring the fox terrier, and he bounces all over the place. Oh my gosh.
I love it. Here's Dell's book. Let's talk about the book. These are all made up stories. So what is that?
Yes.
Fiction?
Yep, all fiction.
All fiction.
Yep.
There we go. It's available on Amazon.
And Lulu.
What's Lulu?
Oh, Lulu's another platform like Amazon where you
Oh.
sell books.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm learning lots of things. Love it.
Oh.
What was your favourite thing about living in Nine? Was there anything?
Well, it was a real good, huge community
Yeah.
back then when I was growing up. It's not so much what it was. I mean, we had all the banks and everything, and then they had to close them down after everything that happened there. And it's actually picked up. It's looking a lot nicer now with the new
It's
homes.
pretty
and-
busy.
Yeah.
Pretty busy with the new homes and the swimming pool.
Yeah.
And I've got this friend Martin Baconi, who's from the he was from the 99 Cricket Club, and he said that the shops used to all be open on a Saturday
They
morning,
did.
and there were shoe shops and all sorts of
Yep.
stuff. But it's all very
it's-
different.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's finished. Oh no, it's not finished. Still going.
Just about.
I love it when my guests share their music with me, because some of them have the most unexpected music. I'm thinking, you're an Eminem fan? No way! Like, what?
I've got quite eclectic taste. I like a lot of different genres. Everything but country and western.
Oh, but
Sorry.
even country and western's not, some of that's all right.
Yeah.
The lady last week played death metal. That was the first time.
Oh,
I've
no.
ever- Yeah, she played death metal.
No thanks.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Joy Temple. My name is Janny, and you're listening to Hutt Radio. We stream on iHeartRadio, and today I'm also live streaming on my TikTok and YouTube, the Joy Temple. So if you want to see what's happening live here in the studio, please jump on, say hi, and if you've got any questions for my lovely guest, Del Gibson, that will be the place to send them to. So, Del, let's talk a little bit about mental illness and open up this conversation, because I think most of us have something that affects us through mentally. Okay, like I used to have really bad panic attacks, like extreme. That I was agoraphobic. I was unable to leave the house. It was so awful. Occasionally, I suffer from a little bit of anxiety, but I've never lived with depression or anything beyond that. My son has extreme depression, and it is very debilitating for him. So, most of us will know someone in the community, or we will ourselves struggle with something that affects our mental illness. Now, you had said that you were diagnosed with postpartum psychosis, and that was in 2005, right? But
Yes.
leading up to that, your mental health was...
Oh, it's fine.
It was
It was
fine.
great. I was doing everything. I was working 7 days a week, basically in hospitality, and I had my only child with me at the time, and life was great. There was nothing to indicate that there was any underlying problems or anything like that. It just accumulation of the complications with the birth, perhaps, different hormones and stuff and chemical brain stuff and
Yeah.
you know, and it just hit me. It just happened one day, and I was actually at Queensgate. It was Boxing Day. I've never been able to go to Boxing Day in Queensgate again
Wow.
since then.
Yeah.
So we went outside, and my baby was only a week old, and he was in the pram with me and my partner at the time, and I said, I can't breathe. I think I'm having a heart attack. So we're about to run to the hospital, but then it stopped when I got back into the car, and then progressively over about a week or two of that, I was put into TWA, into the ward,
What is
psychiatric
TWA?
ward.
I don't
So that's Te Wharia
Oh.
Huru.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, so that's the psychiatric ward at the Lower Hutt Hospital. So I was put in there for treatment and stuff like that. And I was in there for about 3 months, getting the medication right and all that. And yeah, I came out of it. It took a few years, definitely. I mean, I had lots of triggers, and for 4 years I had an intensive, every Thursday for 4 years I had intensive therapy, so cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah, which is a very, common treatment. My son has had that. And what must have been so challenging for you, you've got a week-old baby, suddenly developing these symptoms that you don't know what they are, which is, one thing having the joy of having a new baby, and then this confusion around what's happening with you, like physically and mentally. So they diagnosed the panic attack was the
panic attack, and then all of a sudden I started having thoughts, not very good thoughts, and the screaming. That was a major indication that it was a psychosis.
Okay.
So, and I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't into doing anything else. I wasn't on anything basically until I went on to the medication they gave me, and took a few years to get it right. And then all of a sudden, I thought everything was fine until a few years later I got diagnosed with something else. So I also have to say my mother passed away when I was 11, so I think that kick-started a lot of stuff as well. So
and I think it's really important for us to go on that healing journey, as hard as it can be, or as confronting as it can be. I think we all should explore the healing that comes when there is a trauma, right?
Yep.
And sometimes that healing can be through forgiveness or through therapy, but to be able to free up our mind of those continual things that are, intruding on us is a really important part of healthy living. And I know with my son, he had things that have happened to him in his life that he just can't go past. He can't let them go. He can't forgive. And for me, I've also had things in my life that have happened that have been very traumatic, but I have made that decision to move beyond that by releasing some of those thoughts and feelings and forgiving.
That's important.
Been, it's a really big part, because what I saw for me when I was having panic attacks was that stress was compounding to the point where obviously my brain wasn't coping, because I was having these 24/7 panic attacks, and it was just awful. It was so awful. So you saw the signs that something was wrong. They acted early. They helped you. How were you able to balance caring for your child while you were going through this treatment?
Good question, actually. I had a lot of mummy guilt.
Yep.
even though it was something I couldn't control, and I couldn't actually explain it to my partner at the time because he didn't understand. I didn't have a broken leg, so it wasn't visible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't really have much support, but I got through it. I had to take care of myself and stay at home and look after baby,
Yeah.
you know, and I just did it just so that I could just get my life back,
Yeah.
you know, because I didn't want to be a mum that's staying in bed because I've got depression.
Yeah.
I just really needed to get out there and start taking him places and stuff like that. And because there was a time where 2 years I couldn't walk into a supermarket or the mall. I couldn't be around people, so it was quite bad. But then I decided one day, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to take him in the pram and walk through one end of the mall to the other, and if I survive, I'll
Which
do
you
it.
have.
Which I did.
Absolutely, because you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah. And at the end of it, you know, I patted myself on the back. I thought, my God, it took you 2 years to do it, but lady, you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that the reason that you weren't doing that, was that because a fear of having another panic attack, the fear of what was happening? Okay.
Yep.
Because I really relate to that. My worst time for getting panic attacks is when I was driving or when I was super relaxed, and that is what.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I had a really incredible doctor who helped support me through my panic attacks, and I never took medication for them, which I think is really amazing, but I did a lot of relaxation therapy. It was being able to learn to relax my body and, you know, be kind and gentle to myself was what was healing for me. But I was like you, sometimes I just couldn't go to a place because there was no reason why. There was no reason.
Yeah. It's irrational. It's irrational thinking, really.
It is absolutely irrational.
Yeah.
And there is that moment where you have to go, actually, come on, you can do this. You have to talk yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And once you do it and you see that it's okay, it does become easier.
It does.
And, you know, my doctor used to say to me, well, can you actually make yourself have a panic attack right now? It's like, oh, no, I can't, actually.
It was a silly thing to say.
Well, no, but that was his way of kind of
gauging things, I suppose.
yeah, I guess, and making me realise that it's not something that I was making happen.
No.
It was happening, you know, itself. But also just to let them pass. And once you learn how to cope with a panic attack, they do pass very quickly, and I'm fully recovered, you know, from that. That was in my early 20s, but yeah, it was so so debilitating and awful and scary. They're really scary.
Yeah, it's scary because you don't know what's happening. That's the thing. And unless you get a really good doctor, which is, I mean, I had the most phenomenal doctors, and I just stuck with them for years. And so.
And
that, you know, the challenges I had to overcome then are what I'm overcoming now, that I'm in the horror world of writing and all that sort of stuff, and doing podcasts and live podcasts and all that sort of stuff, has really brought me out of my shell, which is really good, because there was, you know, times where I don't want to get out of bed, you know, and I know my brain wants to get out of bed, but there's something in my body. And then I just started writing, and it's just like, that got me out of bed every day, because I knew I had a story that needed to be done by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And so I was getting myself out of bed and doing that, and then it just became a routine to do everything first thing in the morning, all my writing, all my work, and then I've got the rest of the day to spend with the kids or do shopping or chores or whatever. And so
having that purpose.
Having
a purpose to get up. And I think that's something I see with my own son. He doesn't have a reason to get out. He gets out of bed, but he doesn't work, so there's nothing for him. And it's very hard as a parent. We talked about the mummy guilt. Even to have a 40-year-old son, there's still mummy guilt. But it's like, how do you encourage people to start to find something that they might like to do or could do? That's a good point, actually, because I believe completely in people finding their dreams and finding their bliss, and that might mean taking risks, like leaving a job to go and pursue photography, or go and do a creative writing course, or
you know, something like that, you might have to go broke for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
until you get on a benefit or whatever, or something that's going to help you decide what you want to do with your life. And you know, I think everyone's got a purpose here, and if some people don't find it in this lifetime, and sometimes they might have to come back again, if you know what I mean, if
Yeah.
you believe in reincarnation and stuff like that. But you know,
I've been told this is my last earthly life.
yeah, so I've been told this is mine too, and I'm like, yes.
I'm going to miss the coffee though.
Oh, there's a few things I'm going to miss, but hey, we won't care when we're in the spirit world.
This lady said that both Shakti and I are on our last, and we've been together as earthly beings for thousands of years, and she said this will be our last
That's lovely.
incarnation. So yeah, that's pretty wild.
That's super.
You know, for me, the concept of mortality is a very big driver in doing life, okay?
Yes, living.
In living, in getting up every day and feeling gratitude, joy, going out and expanding my world, you know, knowing that at any moment things could change is a very big motivator for me. And
I like that.
yeah,
That's so true.
it is so true, and I never really understood that concept. I read a book called, what's it called now? It'll come to me, and I don't know why I can't remember it. No,
Louise
I've read that book.
Oh.
That's Heal Your Life. That's an amazing book. No, it's about don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Right.
Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's like
Yes, pick your battles.
Yeah, 100 different things you can do to kind of take the pressure off. Like, you know, doesn't matter whose turn to take the garbage out. Just someone take the garbage out. Things like that, where you are starting to think about what really is the important stuff in life.
That's
okay?
right.
And the last chapter in this book was about, you know, understanding that today could be your last day, and
So make
how
the
would you
most
want
of
to
it.
live that day
That's right.
with kindness, compassion, doing joyful and
Yes.
exciting and inspiring things is what, yeah, that's my kind of go-to. So yeah, for me that's a really big motivator. But you know, this concept of finding purpose, I think, is one that most people struggle with, right?
They
Like,
do.
what is
We
my
do, yeah.
purpose? What is my passion? For me, purpose is about just bringing joy to the world, you know,
That's
in
right.
some small way.
Yeah.
Whatever I do around that is also really great, but to be living in contentment, for me, is purpose.
Yeah.
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 Passion,
Me too.
the things I love to do, like my radio show, my dancing, all that stuff I feel passionate about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
it's-
think everybody has to find something.
Yeah.
Even if it's just today, just find something. If
Yeah.
it's, you know, if it's listening to music and dancing around the lounge, oh my God.
Well, that's
go
fun. I love
for
that.
it. If you want to have music up really loud, go for it. You know,
Yeah.
if you want to go for a walk along the riverbank and it's pissing down with rain,
Go
for
it.
it.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
read a book once, and the lady was talking about how when you're around, you know, in that kind of 5 to 10 year age group, the things that you might have been doing at that time are often things that you could carry into your future life as being what your purpose and passion is, you
Yeah.
know. And for me, I think back, I loved paper dolls and designing clothes for paper dolls. And, you know, I've gone on to work in that fashion space, you know, through putting together fashion parades, having a clothing label. So if you're thinking about what your purpose is, what was it that you were doing as a
Yes.
young child? So for you
I
were,
was writing.
You were writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe ask that question. What was I doing at that young age that really made me feel lit up inside? And can you reconnect with that?
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because oh my goodness, I used to write stories at school, and the principal used to make me go around and take it to all the classrooms and read my stories out. So
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
So-
it's really incredible, thoughtful thing that you just said.
Yeah.
Actually, I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I think, you know, if somebody does ask you that question, well, that could be a way to invoke that conversation.
Or open something up.
What was
in
it
your
that you
mind.
were doing?
Yeah,
that you used to
exactly.
love? And, you know, part of the work I do through coaching and mentoring is talking to people about expanding their world. Like, trying things. Like what is something you just want to try? You know, write that list of things, and not everything has to cost a lot of money
No,
to do.
no.
Like writing, for
Yep.
example, doesn't cost
It's
a
free.
thing. It's free, absolutely free.
Yeah.
And for you, look where it has taken you.
Yeah.
To the book Mistress of Darkness, Tales or Stories of the Macabre, Volume 1. Ta-da!
Yay.
Volume 2 coming.
Volume 2 coming and a biography at the end of the year. It's a huge project.
Yeah, that keeps you busy. Now, let's talk a bit about bipolar, because the other day I was talking to you about work, and you said to me, you can't work a normal 9 to 5 job because you're too.
I'm
and these are your
unreliable.
words. She's
Yep.
unreliable, everybody, except when it comes to writing.
Yep.
And it comes to reviewing.
Yep.
And doing this work that she can control her time and her ability.
Yep.
Now let's understand what bipolar disorder is. It's previously been known as manic depression. And it's a mental health condition that's characterised by extreme mood swings, including elevated mood or periods of depression.
Yep.
Would that be how you sum
That's
it up?
exactly right.
Yeah. Their mood episodes can last for days, weeks, or months.
Yep.
Yeah. And there is no cure,
No,
No?
it's forever.
but there are effective treatments such as medication and therapy which can help manage the symptoms and improve the quality of life.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think that sums up exactly what it is. Many famous people, including yourself, because you're famous, because she's a published author, everybody, and you know has this incredible
Thank
world
you.
that she works in. Mariah Carey, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Selena Gomez, Robert Downey Jr., Demi Lovato, Winston Churchill, that's just a few people, Nina Simone, Linda Hamilton, they've all have lived or are living with
Lots of authors as well.
Bipolar
Even
disorder.
Shakespeare, if people believe in Shakespeare.
Vincent van Gogh.
Yep. Lots of artists. Yeah.
Yeah. So these people that I've just mentioned are living incredibly successful lives.
And they're very, let me say, they're famous as well, but they do this because it's their way of controlling their bipolar and venting. Yeah.
Through their art.
Through their art.
Mm,
Yeah. Whether it's the music, acting, or artwork or writing. Yeah.
It's that.
It's cathartic. It really is.
And you said that creative writing helps take those thoughts from
Yes.
your head out
Onto
of your.
a piece of paper or onto my book and into the computer, and it's out of my head, which is really good. It's a great way of balancing my life, because I've got my fingers in lots of different pies in the horror realm, because there's lots of different places it can take you, into reviews and stuff, and being part of films and all that sort of stuff, and it's a way to get me out of bed, but it's also very cathartic to have to talk to people and to write. The content I write can be quite heavy, but I'm able to manage that because my bipolar kind of is able to assess that what I'm doing is fiction, if you know what I mean.
It's not your reality. It's not
not
the
the
not the
reality.
dream state. It's the awake state. You know, if you think about what we were talking
Yes,
about.
so a lot of
earlier.
mindfulness goes into it, and a lot of grounding as well before I write a story, or while I'm writing a story, because it takes a lot of headspace. So I've got to make sure I balance it by reading books, listening to music, playing my piano, helping people with their work. So there's a lot of that going on. I do some stuff in the community as well. But I've had to let some of that go, unfortunately, so that I can pursue my career.
Yeah.
So, but I can always go back to that. Like I was doing reading remedial at schools, and I think that's a good thing that authors should be doing to give back to their community. Yeah, even if it's an hour a week at a local primary school.
Yeah. Or even libraries probably would encourage that. Or
If they have them there, they usually have their own set
Oh,
stuff
okay,
there.
yeah, when with your creative writing, if you were to think back about what you were writing as a young child or young person to what you write now. Was there a similar kind of theme, or do you feel
Yes,
like since
actually
you're writing
there was.
Oh, there was. Okay.
Yes, there was. Little ghost stories. So just little, ghost stories. There weren't anything horrifying or
Yeah.
anything like that. So, yeah, and I think that's why the principal made me take it around the school, because it was really quite confounding for someone so young to be able to put those sorts of words together. So that's why I'm saying I believe God gives you gifts, and if you don't use them, they go to waste. And this is my gift, and I use it to help other people in the world. People might not think that that's what horror does, but it actually can help people.
Now I can't remember her name. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Elizabeth Gilbert, I think that's her name. She wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love. She was talking about what you have just said here. She had an idea for a book, and it was about a man who, I think he went to South America and he met a woman and fell in love. Anyway, she didn't act on the book at the time. And she caught up with this other friend of hers who was an author. Sometime later, it was like, I don't know, months or even years and years later, and they were having dinner, and this person said, I've got this great idea for a book. And they started to share what it was, and it was exactly what her story was.
No.
And she said it is so important to act on those ideas, or the universe will take them
Give
and
it to
give
someone
it to
else.
someone else.
That's right.
Yeah, so don't delay.
No, don't procrastinate.
Don't procrastinate.
No.
Let's play another song, and let's come back and talk a bit more about life with Del Gibson.
Yeah.
What would you like to play
Oh,
now?
The Cure.
Okay.
This is my soul music, The Cure.
This is
Yeah.
Lullaby by The Cure. So you just love this song. You
I love
The
all of them.
Cure.
I love The Cure. I
Yeah.
went to their concert and everything.
Oh,
so
my
yeah, I
goodness.
love them. Since
Okay.
I was 15.
There you go. So this is The Cure Lullaby. We'll be back shortly. This is the Joy Temple. My name is Janie. You're listening to Hutt Radio, and I'm here with Del Gibson today.
Who doesn't love The Cure?
I love The Cure.
Oh, I love Robert Smith. Oh, he's so amazing.
Okay, hello everybody. Coming to say hello. This is Del's book, Mistress of Darkness, Stories of the Macabre, Volume 1. Thank you for tuning in. Would love to know where you're from, who you are. Do you like horror films? That's what we're talking about, Del's work today. And Benjamin Gibson, have you read The Way of the Peaceful Warrior?
Oh, good book.
Never heard of it. Never. People are looking up the Horrific podcast.
Oh, yes, Horrific Podcast. That's the podcast my friend runs that I'm on every second week.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we review mainstream and New Zealand horrors.
And Ben has asked me to ask a question to you, which I will on air, about how do you find peace in a chaotic mind? And that is something that I've actually kind of
Wow.
made a note about, because I think that's a really important thing, not only in a chaotic mind, but also a chaotic world,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I'll just put that, just to remind me about that.
Good question.
Yeah, because I want to talk about, how are you supported and how do your
Yeah.
family and friends support you?
Yeah.
So lots
That's
more,
really important.
lots more questions coming up. We didn't get to see the book. There it is. Lucky you're here, Ben. Available on Amazon and Hulu. There we go. If you've got any other questions for Del, I need a producer. I need someone who can come to the studio and do all of this razzle-dazzle stuff here for me, so that I can just...
You do need one.
I do.
But you're doing fine without
But
one.
you know what? Nothing gets paid for here. It's all for love. It's
Yeah,
all for
all for
passion.
For the community.
Yeah, it is for the community, actually. And, I never imagined I'd have a radio show, but it just was one of those things. I saw an ad and I thought,
Wow.
I need something a bit different this year. I pitched the idea of doing a bit of a talk show, because I always wanted to share my stories, because I've got lots of crazy stories, but I actually really like you know, uncovering other people's stories
Yeah.
and doing something that helps to share inspirational messages to others.
Oh,
Which is what this,
awesome.
you know, which
That's
is
why
what
I
this
took
is.
it up, because I was like, you're looking for people in the community that doing something extraordinary or different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many amazing people out there
There
who,
are. Oh my goodness, I know so many amazing people in the Hutt, and they don't want to, I don't know, put themselves out there. I guess it's because it's a scary thing.
it is scary, and I think people are also afraid to celebrate their success.
They are.
We
Hear that
are-
all the time.
Yeah, and we are very discouraged from standing out, from making ourselves look like we're too good or too smart or too beautiful or too whatever. And I say, F that. I say own that shit and just, we're not on air so I can say whatever I like right now. I say fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to just embrace this beautiful presence and soul that we have and just let it
Love
shine.
yourself.
Yeah.
Even like yourself.
Yes.
Start with that.
It's a very hard thing to do, and you know, having that little note on the mirror that says "I love myself"
Yes.
is really, really important. And Louise Hay talks about
Louise
that.
Hay, yep.
Yeah, she talks about in
Bless
that
her
book.
soul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing.
Yeah.
So I love and approve of myself. Hey, we're finished.
I'm proving myself exactly as I am.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Joy Temple. That was a cure with Lullaby. I'm with Del Gibson, and we are talking about all things. We haven't talked so much about too much horror yet, but I would like to just continue on a bit of a conversation around your bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what happened for you that you knew that something was again changing for you that led to this diagnosis?
It pretty much started, I think, when I just did not want to get out of bed. Yeah, I'm not the sort of person to stay in bed, so it just every day started to get a drag. I started having really negative thoughts in my mind about ending things, and that was the clincher. Basically, it was that. It was the suicidal thoughts that come hand in hand with bipolar, unfortunately. Yeah.
I just would like to just take a moment just to let people know that we are having a conversation that could be distressing or triggering for some people. If you at any point feel concerned for your well-being or somebody else's well-being, you can reach out to 1737, which is a helpline that you will be able to get professional support straight away if needed. And I don't want to take anything away from our conversation, but I just think it's really important that we let people know that there is support out there if needed today.
Yes,
So-
absolutely.
So that struggle of the thoughts, the getting out of bed, and your family would have been
Yeah,
seeing this and wondering what was kind of happening.
yeah, they were, especially the kids, because I wasn't involved as much. I was stuck in a deep, dark depression, and I just couldn't do anything about it. And I knew I had to do something about it. So I went and spoke to one of the CAT team psychologists, and they took me on board and gave me a proper diagnosis. I think it's important that people have a diagnosis so they get the right treatment and medication. Don't self-diagnose. Do not look up Google.
Oh my God, Dr. Google is useless.
Yeah, unless you want to find out some symptoms, and
Yeah.
that's okay, that might help. But really, I would encourage people to go and see their doctors if they feel any emotional changes. I knew something was wrong when I had 6 days out of 7 that were bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I think, you know, for most of us, we do have that time. Well, I don't feel like getting out of bed today. You know, it's a bit bleak. I'm just going to stay in bed and I'm just going to snuggle up, maybe watch the TV. And that can be a very normal thing. But as you're saying, if that's progressing into your
affecting
next
your
day,
life, yeah.
your next day, the next day, then that is certainly a warning that something
It's
you
not
know,
right.
may not be right.
Yeah.
So you received the help at that time, and through medication and therapy, you have been able to get back to this.
So some sort of normality,
Yeah.
really.
Well, what is a normal
Yeah,
life
where,
anyway?
where I'm living and not just surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, people will talk about, oh, well, we have a normal life. There is no such thing as a normal life.
No, no, there's not.
There's not.
But my normality was being able to get up and get the kids ready and do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when that fell down, I knew there was something going on when it was lasting for too much longer than it
Yeah.
should have. Yeah.
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 And so that was in your 40s. So
So,
how long ago do you reckon?
so it's about, oh gosh, about 7 years ago now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would have been about 7 years ago now that I got that diagnosis. And that was actually after about 6 months
Yeah.
of intensive evaluations and assessments to get the right diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there is so many, you know,
The
arms of
crossovers.
different, things do cross over. And often, you know, when you hear that somebody has bipolar disorder, it can often be that person that you see on the street that you think might be acting kind of weirdly, and that's not always the case, right?
No.
This
Yeah.
is something that can affect everybody, and
Out of nowhere.
out of nowhere. And one of the things I want to share is about my own son who had an over-the-counter drug addiction, right? Not prescription
Over the counter.
over-the-counter,
Yeah.
like Nurofen Plus addiction. And the thing is, we know things happen to people all the time, and we can't just assume that there is a set mould
No.
of what this looks like, right?
Yeah. It's different for everybody.
It is different
Yeah.
for everybody. You know, in the case of my son's addiction, this is an addiction that's common with the housewife, the truck driver, the
Yep.
high-functioning executive, okay? So we can't label, and I talked to you
No.
about labelling the other day, how I hate that people label stuff. They label us with something.
Yep.
And as soon as you have a label, that's it.
It
You-
sticks. And it's not
Yeah.
fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not fair. It's
Yeah.
absolutely not fair. Now, your husband has brought up this question, which I also had here about how have your family and friends supported you, you know, during this time?
Taking me to doctor's appointments,
Yep.
coming and seeing me when I end up in TWA for, sometimes I might end up there every 6 years or so for a week just to get something changed
Yeah.
or in a safe place, like my medication change or something. Just being there for me when I need to talk, going away from me when I need time to myself.
Yeah.
Particularly when I want to do like meditation or I want to do mindfulness, because that's really important, mindfulness.
Yeah.
Being aware of what you're doing.
And I think it's very hard. I found it, or I still find it quite hard to support my son, because you like to think that everything's okay, but there's always little signs that things aren't okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is that point where you are intruding, or
Enabling.
like where is that point where you are intruding on their life because you're genuinely concerned for what you're seeing and witnessing, or where is that point where it's like, well, things are okay, do I need to be concerned? And as you know, the family support network,
Yeah.
it is also really challenging on them.
Oh gosh, yes. That's
Incredibly
why there's
challenging.
support groups for parents and family members who are supporting, especially people with bipolar or say something more extreme like schizophrenia. You know, you do need some sort of support systems, otherwise you can fall through the cracks
Yeah.
and get lost so
Yeah.
easily.
And it is,
Yeah,
it
and to
is
dig your
hard.
way back up again is really quite impossible without a secure network, good doctors.
Yeah.
Staying on your medication, that's the other thing. People with bipolar think that once they're okay,
Oh,
they can go off the
you're
medication.
cured, yeah, and that's not
It's
often
not
the
right.
case. And I've seen with my own son, you know, he's had periods of time in hospital where they have done that same thing.
Yep.
Keeping him safe, keeping his medication, make sure that is correct. And you look at what the transition of our technology and our medication has been over the years.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're probably in, you know, a much better place
Oh,
than we were
yes.
20 years ago, 30 years ago, in terms of how we're treating people.
Yeah.
We have so much more at our fingertips, which is really fantastic. So your family offer you support.
Yep.
And they, do you have a like, today's not the day?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes.
Today's not the day.
Yes, I just need to say to my husband, it's too early to talk to me. Just give me half an hour
Yeah.
till I've had a coffee and I've woken up. You know,
Yeah.
it's or I'm going to bed for half an hour to read, or I'm
Yeah.
going to go and have a nana nap. You know, and everybody's on board. I tell you what, I've lost a lot of friends, unfortunately. Which kind of happens when you have a mental illness. Some friends don't know how to support you, so they leave.
Well, that is
Those-
their loss,
that's
right?
their loss.
That's their
Yeah.
loss. And you know, it sometimes can be hard to say to your loved ones, you know, well, I just need some time, because often they can feel a bit rejected.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
And
so
I
you
think
have to have that discussion.
the discussion, but also that freedom of conversation, of free-flowing conversation, where both people know, or all parties know, that hey, you know what, you might have time that you need, I need
Yeah.
this time, right? That's important.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make peace with a chaotic mind? Is it chaotic in there?
Oh, yes, it's chaotic up here. Yes, it is. And I make peace with it by writing.
Yeah.
I found the only tool that will work, and it's working. Yeah.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Writing is very cathartic, and you know, people use
Journaling. Yep.
which is a wonderful tool. And I think some people go, oh, I don't know how to journal, or journaling's not going to help me. But journaling is a really beautiful way to, and I think it's getting that, I was going to say shit out of your head, getting those thoughts out of your head,
Yes,
right?
it's so important.
And releasing that space.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
And it is a very easy way to do it, right?
Yeah.
To just, whether it's words, whether it is stories.
Yeah, whether it's crossword puzzles or something, you know, or word search things, or something that you can write stuff on the side, and
Yeah.
you know, there's lots of different techniques.
And I think a beautiful part of that is that when you are doing that kind of work, you might not realise it, but you are having a very deep practice of mindfulness,
yes,
because you are not focusing on what has happened or what is going to happen. You are just living in the moment, which is sometimes a difficult concept for people to grasp. You know,
Yes.
how do I live in the moment? Well, you just live in the moment, but how? Well, just,
Yeah.
you know, just be in the moment. By doing something that you are utterly focused on right now, is being in this moment. Because when you are in that space, you're not worrying about anything else. You can't worry
No,
about
you don't
anything
have the
else.
room to.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You
It's,
just-
it's a fabulous way of doing things, actually. I mean, I know artists that do paintings because they just have to get this stuff out of their head, and their paintings just look amazing and grueling and
Yeah.
horrific, but really that's inside somebody's mind, and that's their depiction of what their mind looks like, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our mind is amazing. Hey?
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
It's really, yeah. It's so,
Complex machine.
it is a complex machine, right? And it's one of those things that is still so, I think, misunderstood. Although
Yes.
you've got these incredible people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, who is doing all this amazing work around healing through, like he says, if your body can cause an illness, your body can cure an illness,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And he's got remarkable stories of people who have cured from a range of different illnesses through, you know, this meditation, and just, I think also that feeling of happiness and joy, you know,
Yeah.
is such a big, important part of our life.
Yes.
And this is the Joy Temple, everybody. Now, what about, we're going to talk about horror in a minute, because that's part of the
Yes.
reason why we're here. Now, our time is quickly, you know, ticking by. It's 10:36 a.m. Now, let's talk about the stigma in the community around mental illness,
Yep.
and how can we support people, you know?
Well, it's a really hard thing to do, considering, I don't want to talk about politics because I don't like talking
We
about
don't talk about politics on this show, everybody.
But funding for mental illness, for mental health services is gone.
Mhm.
Basically, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Waiting at Hutt Hospital for 12 hours to be assessed by a doctor is not good enough. So I think that people just need to, I guess, if your family member has got is suffering from some sort of mental illness or depression, and that, read. Support that person by finding out what it is they've got. They'll tell you what it is, obviously, the doctors, and then you go and read and you research. Do not just listen to what the doctor's saying, go and research.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of holistic stuff you can do for yourself that will empower you and give you the confidence you need to overcome whatever's going on in your life. And if your friend does have a mental illness, don't walk away from her. Don't walk away from him. Make sure make sure that person's okay. Go and pop in once a week. Knock on the door, even though they don't want to see anybody. Just say, I'm here just to say hi. I'm at your door. Bye.
Do you know what? That has just made me feel so emotional inside, because I think there's this incredible loneliness in the world anyway.
There is. And
for people struggling, there's an extra layer of loneliness that comes to that. And it doesn't cost anything to say hello.
No.
And it doesn't cost anything to knock on somebody's door and check in that they're doing okay.
That small little thing can change their life.
Yeah. And even though you may not be reciprocated in a way that shows that what you're doing has an impact, I truly believe it does have an impact, right?
It does, yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I make sure, with my son, some days he doesn't feel like communicating, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm there when he wants to communicate. I will always ring him, and then there's days where he's more than happy to, talk and be chatty, and but I have to respect that I can't change anything for him.
No.
He's got to be part of that change as well.
So long as you're there. You're there, and they know, we know who's there. Yeah, and you will always be in the back of our minds, that you did that one little thing that changed the trajectory of someone's life, really. Yeah.
And I don't want to downplay anything, but it's like, this is what it is, right? So we can live with it and just go forth with gusto and keep going. And just have that bit of a, well, so what?
Yeah.
You know what? It's what it is.
Yeah, it is. And mental illness doesn't have to be a sad thing. It can also be a journey that takes somebody to the other end and they become a completely different person. So I'm not saying my mental illness is defines me, and I'm not saying it's intruded in my life or anything, because it did, but it's not now. So you know what I mean? It's like, just harness, just take every day as it comes. That's what I've learned to do.
Yeah.
Every day as it comes. Do not make 5-year plans like people say to do. Just live every day.
Who makes a 5-year plan?
I've had people ask me, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like,
really?
I can't even remember what I had for dinner last night.
Oh my God, a 5-year plan.
Some support groups do that.
They want you to make a 5-year plan.
They want you to make a 5-year plan. Where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? That's probably
like
not
a job interview.
Yeah, it is, and it's not a very good way to treat people with a mental illness, is to, let them think 5 years ahead. It's like, dude, I'm trying to get through today.
Yeah, that's a massive pressure. And when people ask you that question in a job interview, where do you think you'll be in 5 years? It's like, how would I know? Why are you putting a boundary around me?
That's right.
Of where I should and shouldn't be and what I should and shouldn't do? No.
Yeah.
We're not having that, Del.
No.
I just think we need to have the freedom to allow things to change and expand, right?
Yes.
And I get that we need some structure. Yep, that's a really important thing. We need to get up and brush our teeth and have our coffee and do those structural things. But we need to be free to explore and expand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a big world out there.
Oh my God, I'll be nearly 65 in 5 years. I can't believe it. Where will I be in 5 years? Honestly, I'd probably like to be living in India in 5 years. That would be quite nice.
I don't think you were younger than me. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm no spring chicken, don't you worry.
Gosh.
But but I just, I don't want to have a boundary. I just want things to keep expanding. So that's really important.
And you are.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we should play another song, and then let's come back and really get into your to the horror.
Oh, yes.
What would you like to
please.
play now?
Oh. What have we got? How about some Pink Floyd?
Where is Pink Floyd? It is definitely here. I thought it was here. Comfortably Numb.
Comfortably Numb.
Tell us why you love this song. 1979, I think this one came out as
I'm
well.
showing my age.
No, you're not.
Pink Floyd reminds me of my brother who lives in Australia. We
Uh-huh.
grew up with that, with Pink Floyd and all those bands. So
Yeah.
it just reminds me of my brother Jippo.
Now, have you been to see the Pink Floyd movie at the Planetarium?
No, The Wall?
No, not The Wall.
No, I didn't.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, the Dark Side of the Moon.
Okay, so I'm just letting everybody know that
Wow.
at the Planetarium, it's only, I think maybe on a couple of times a week in the dome in the Planetarium, they are running a movie of Dark Side of the Moon. It is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's not expensive to go and see it. And they project it all on the whole dome in the Planetarium. It is unbelievable. They play it to the soundtrack, and it came out as part of the 50th anniversary, I think, last year of Dark Side of the Moon. So go to the Planetarium website, check it out, go and see it. It is just amazing because you just kind of sit there and you just it's just incredible.
Oh, no,
Well
that's
worth
me.
it.
Thank you for letting me know.
Check it out. Anyway, this is Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. We'll be back in a moment. Press all my buttons.
Wow, I'm still going to have to go to that.
It's so good.
Oh,
It is so good. It's like you're actually just writing it.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, everybody, let's see what's happening on our TikTok. So, yeah, I'm sorry that I can't just kind of like get up all the time and take part in the conversation. Oh, your husband must be adorable.
Oh, he is.
He's like your biggest fan on here today. I love it.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. So like he's not being a pain.
He's messaging, commenting. I love it. I really appreciate everybody tuning in today on, the live stream to see what's happening and be part of the conversation behind the scenes. Hey, have I told you about the book? Here it is.
Yay.
There's the book, Mistress of Darkness, Stories of the Macabre, Volume 1. There we go, available on Amazon and Lulu. And
that's your copy.
this is my copy, and you're right, it does glitter. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh. It's funny, I love writing. I discovered I love writing probably about around like 2010, so quite a while ago.
Wow.
But I've never been a massive reader, which
Oh,
I think
okay.
is interesting. When I was in primary school, I got lots of recognition for my reading ability because I was an avid reader. Then I kind of like dropped off a bit. But it has to be a very compelling book that
Right.
keeps me engaged, keeps my imagination
Yep.
going. So I feel like there could be some things in here that will.
Yes. I think you might like them actually. Yeah. They're not, there's a couple of horror ones in there, but mostly they're just ghosty stories.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Didn't want to freak everyone out with my first book, although when I did have it delivered last week, I had nightmares because I read the whole book in one go when I got it to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah.
And I had nightmares for the first time in months, literally.
Really?
My own book gave me nightmares. It's not good.
That's kind of funny though. You're on the money if it's giving you,
Yes, exactly.
giving yourself
Oh,
the nightmares.
no.
That's really funny.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous but funny.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Because sometimes when you're writing, you get kind of detached from what it is. It becomes like the thought coming onto I was going to say the paper.
Yep.
So the thought's coming out, it's coming out, and then you might read it back. But you have a different attachment to it, right?
Yeah.
As compared to reading someone's writing that you've
Oh,
never
yeah.
read before.
Yep.
So for you to get scared of your own writing is hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Insane.
I love that.
I wonder if other horror authors have that happen. I don't know. We'll have to
Interesting,
ask.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting question to your Facebook group, maybe.
Well.
Okay, I'm going to wind this down. It's nearly
Yes.
finished, and then we can keep
Yep.
talking. Welcome back, everybody. That was Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb. This is Hutt Radio. My name is Janny. You're tuned into the Joy Temple today, and I'm with Del Gibson. We've been talking about her work as an author, movie, music, book reviewer in the horror genre, how she lives with a mental illness that has, I guess, both helped and hindered you. I think we need to now talk about horror. So Del has a Facebook group with 44.6 thousand followers in it, where she has things such as horror, paranormal, UFOs. What else
Yep.
is in there that's
True crime.
yeah.
Yep. Videos, films, books, music. Yeah, it's got it all.
Anything to
That's
do with
why I called it Horror Central, because
I
it's like a
love that.
railway station that goes off in different directions.
yeah, like the Library of Horror.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think people are fascinated with horror?
Now, I've thought about this several times, and I think it has to do with human psychology. I think it has to do with the fact that we're no longer primordial, cavemen having to survive anymore. We're in a very kind of comfortable place now in our world, as in technology-wise and everything. And I think what's happening is that people aren't getting that adrenaline hit that we're wanting, but we can't get. So a good way for people to grasp that sort of human psychology is to basically get a jump scare, or basically to work out some sort of thriller, what's going on, who's the killer, who's especially the frights and the graphic depictions of demons or ghosts or stuff like that can actually frighten you to the point where it's actually happy. It's a happy feeling.
Oh, like a dopamine.
That's a dopamine release, yes. It is, definitely so. I
that's
call it
me.
the adrenaline hit.
Oh.
And the scarier the movie, the better. But I'm actually desensitized to horror now, so there's not a horror movie that will give me what I used to have. Like the hit's not there anymore, so I have to keep looking for more content, but I don't look at dark web content or anything like that. It's just superficial, basically.
You just got to keep going, finding in search of stuff that's going to make you feel
the thing you
satisfied.
need. Yeah, that's right.
Because, like, I'm looking at my own viewing history. So I've seen some of those horror movies, The Exorcist, seen that. There's a lot of things I've not seen. I think The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yeah.
They're, these are horror movies that were in
Classics.
that kind of 70s, 80s time were like the big things, right? So there was those movies. And then I look at something more recent, Cocaine Bear.
Yep.
Has anyone seen Cocaine Bear?
Not yet, but I know it's a true story. Yeah.
Is it a true story?
Yeah, and there was a shark also that did the same thing.
Oh, I didn't realise Cocaine Bear was a true story, because we started watching this on Netflix thinking, oh, this will be like a comedy, right?
Yeah.
The bear just has the cocaine and it'll be funny. It was horrific.
Yeah.
And I couldn't watch it because it was like, firstly, it didn't even seem like it was plausible.
Yeah.
But also, I just found it didn't come with enough of a graphic warning for what was happening in that movie. So don't think your kids are going to watch Cocaine Bear thinking it's a cuddly...
Yeah, that's the problem with horror nowadays, is that there's, I don't know, Hollywood's falling apart, basically. The only, horror's not even a thing in Hollywood anymore, and what they're spitting out is things like The Conjuring or Cocaine Bear or things like that don't really, I don't know, they don't suit a purpose. There's no lesson in Cocaine Bear. The lesson is what? There's no lesson. The thing about horror and gore is that horror lovers like me, horror fans, we do not like to see animals hurt or children.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of independent filmmakers who are coming out now and producing the films that we used to have in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, before Sir Peter Jackson made it possible that we had to have censorship because of Sir Peter Jackson's films that he was bringing up, which was Brain Dead or Brain Dead and Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles and Frighteners and all that sort of stuff. Things have changed in the way of horror and how it's being delivered. Lots of it's rubbish. There's a lot of good independent films out there that you need to look out for. You'll find them on YouTube as well. And I think support independent films as opposed to big budgets. I get really, really upset when I hear that there's a $500 million film being made in America and there's people starving in Africa. So, and it flopped.
Yeah.
It flopped anyway. So all that money's being wasted, and there's people in the world that could have saved a small country.
Yeah.
And it actually really makes me angry about it. So so I have moved into the world of independent films, it's great because the censorship's not as rigorous.
And it's almost like supporting your local dairy instead of supporting your, Countdown, which I think is really lovely because, you do get lost in that bigger. You know what's going to happen in those Hollywood things, right? You know the story. So predictable.
Same trope as cut and paste, basically.
Yeah. And it just, as you say, a money making machine.
Yep.
So does New Zealand have a lot of
we're getting there.
A lot of independent filmmakers in that horror genre?
Yeah, we're getting there. I can't say any names of Jason Stutter, perhaps, but I mean, I don't know. I don't. I stick to Sir Peter Jackson and Taika Waititi because they have extraordinary brains. Taika Waititi might have gone off the rails a little bit when he went over to Hollywood. I hope he's going to redeem himself.
Oh, hopefully.
Yes. So, there's lots of great stuff. I mean, come on, guys, you've got to have watched Wellington Paranormal.
A bit of it, yes.
And because I'm reviewing the whole series at the moment,
So what else do you review? So Wellington Paranormal.
Yes, we're actually doing what we do in the Shadows TV show at the moment that was filmed in Staten Island in America, even though it's done by Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, who are both Kiwis. They've decided to go and do the series, and it's just brilliant. It's
so what was
brilliant.
That called?
It's Wellington. So it's called What We Do in the Shadows. So it is a movie.
Yeah.
And then what they did is they decided to turn it into a series. So at the moment on the Horrific podcast, we're doing Wellington Paranormal and What We Do in the Shadows. And then we break it up and we do a New Zealand or Australian horror. Australians, can they do good horrors?
Us Aussies know how to do it, mate.
Oh, man. But you do not do horror comedy. The only country in the world that can pull it off is New Zealand. We do. We do the best horror comedies. Yes. Well, you're right. I haven't watched much of them, but I share all those on my channel. I share a lot of different cultural horrors so that people can see what's happening in Mexico and the horrors that are coming out of Switzerland and Germany and India specifically are trying to get into the horror genre.
It's a thing, right? It's a big thing.
Well, yeah, it is.
So how did you get into becoming a reviewer of this?
I fell into it. Yeah, I basically fell into it. I had a friend of mine that runs a Horrific podcast. He's actually the one that published my book for me. He's my new publisher. He's my publisher now. He asked me one day would I like to review a New Zealand film with him, and it was Killer Sofa. And I was like, no, you won't get me on camera, ever. Nah.
But you're so good on camera.
And then I ended up on camera, and I'm like, oh my god, I loved it. Can we do it again?
Yeah.
And then next minute we're doing all of Sir Peter Jackson's films he's directed. We've done every single one of them. So, and I've been doing that for 3.5 years now. So I just fell into it. And now I've got filmmakers all over the world, independent and some big name ones, who have come to me for reviews. So, yeah, because I'm able to point out what maybe went wrong. But most of the time, I can see a beauty in things that other people can't see. Yeah, so I'm one of the only ones on Facebook that's a female kind of reviewer. Most of them are men. So breaking out into the world where there's men, but my name's also a bit of a challenge. It's because it's just Dell. There's it's not longer, it's just Dell. People think I'm a male, so when I start talking to them and coming on their shows and that, they were just like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to be a female, oh dear,
So
you know.
what?
And it's like, yeah, happy surprise.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now look, it's nearly 11 o'clock and I hate to be cutting our conversation off, but I would love to invite you back to so that we could really go deeper into that horror stuff, right? Because I think there's probably some information that that you have that could maybe encourage and help people who might be interested in following a pathway into writing horror or making their own YouTube horror movies, whatever it is. Maybe there's some space for that to help inspire others, because I know one of the things we talked about before we came on air was about people needing to be inspired, and you want to inspire others, right?
Yeah, I do.
Which is something important for you, and inspire others to know that you can live happily, purposefully with an illness such as bipolar. You can be incredibly creative and successful, which you are doing. So I think we probably have a whole other show if you're keen to come back.
I'm keen to come
that.
back, definitely.
So, but we
Thank you.
unfortunately we do have to wrap up now. But I do want to ask you, what is it that brings you joy, and what next for you?
Oh, animals. Animals bring me joy.
Yeah.
My children bring me joy. My husband brings me joy. And what's up for me next is more books. More books on the way and more reviews, and there's a lot going on, so just see what happens. Basically take every day as it comes.
We'll make an appointment. Well, it's been so magnificent having you here today. I just really want to thank you. Because I really believe in my show and wanting to share people's stories, and it was so lovely that you reached out to me and I got to meet you today.
Things are meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it works out. So would you like to pick one of your last songs to play for today? We'll see how much we can get
Got Lana Del Rey on there.
Oh, yes, I do. Born to Die. Tell us about this song.
Oh, it's just a gorgeous song. It's just gorgeous.
Okay.
I love Lana Del Rey. She's just amazing.
Don't need any other reason than that, just to have a gorgeous song.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to say goodbye. I will see you next week. I'll be back on the Joy Temple program on Hutt Radio next week. Have a fantastic weekend, a great week. Have fun. Maybe you might like to enjoy a bit of horror. Check out Dell's Facebook group, Horror Central, and the podcast, Horror.
Oh no, just Horror Central will do
Horror
for now.
Central.
Yep, you'll
Horror
find
Central.
everything on there.
Okay, go and get horrified.
Go get horrified. Yeah.
Anyway, I promised there wouldn't be any jump scares today, and there certainly has not been. Okay, see you everybody. Take care.
Bye.
There we go.
We did it.
Time flies. I say to people, come for an hour, and next minute, an hour and a half is gone.
That's unbelievable.
Okay.
So you do this every Saturday?
I try to. I have had a couple of breaks because I had some dental work done, or I had family stuff I wanted to do. But I'll just come in on a Saturday. And just
Awesome.
look at your show. Imagine you have a great following about horror music, talking about movies, what's happening in the community. Maybe there's stuff, books, stuff. Just keep an idea. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to turn off the live stream now. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really kind of you to tune in. Thank you, Ben. You're amazing. What was the other question for your wife? It's only me who can look at the stuff, so I haven't seen it. But I can always find out
We'll
what
find
it
out.
was. Yeah. I've invited her back anyway, so we can talk more about horror. Okay, goodbye, TikTok.
My TikTok.
And goodbye, Facebook.
See you
Oh,
soon.
YouTube. Oh.